we go. Hello, ladies. This is Tradition 5. This is the short form from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Tradition 5. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to alcoholics who still suffer. And the long form. Each Alcoholics Anonymous group ought to be a spiritual entity having but one primary purpose, that of carrying its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. And we'll go to the illustrated. Actually, I'll start with the I am responsible, because it's in bold print here in the illustrated. I am responsible. When anyone, anywhere, reaches out for help, I want the hand of AA always to be there, and for that, I am responsible. Every newcomer learns, some of us the hard way, that the business of staying sober must have top priority. If we fail at that, we can't succeed at anything else. The fifth tradition tells us that groups should remember their one primary purpose. Often unthinking enthusiasm puts a group off the main track. One, for instance, offered an expanded AA group program that included helping newcomers to find jobs. Tradition 5 doesn't frown on the individual AA who tells another about a good opening. But when the group turns itself into an employment agency, newcomers may get confused about their primary purpose. AA's function is to help them get sober. Then they can find work for themselves. Using direction, a member may lend a few dollars needed for a meal or a hotel room, or may even invite a broke alcoholic to be a temporary house guest. But the AA group as a whole is not a friendly finance company, nor a welfare department, nor a housing bureau. Even when acting on their own as individual members, AA lay people certainly shouldn't award themselves honorary medical degrees and hand out diagnoses and prescriptions and amateur analysis of other people's neurosis. Exactly because this personal failing is not so common, the AA group in all its dealings should be extra careful to emphasize that it is not evading the medical field. Though the personal experience of its members, it is qualified to carry only one message: how an alcoholic can recover in AA. That's all. Yet one group recently felt itself equipped to set up an alcoholism information center. The temptation is understandable. It is even stronger at this time. This tradition was written because public ignorance about alcoholism as an illness was more widespread than it is now. Since then, other agencies have sprung up to assume the task of educating the general public on alcoholism. That is not AA's purpose, but these agencies are also trying to help the active alcoholic. They are our friends, and Tradition 6 marks the boundaries of that relationship. So, have I got any volunteers to read from the 12 and 12? Just raise your hands for me. Bev, perfect. We'll get you to open up.
Page
150.
Got it. My fingers aren't working, but there we go. Tradition 5. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. Shoemaker, stick to thy last. Better do one thing supremely well than many badly. That is the central theme of this tradition. Around it, our society gathers in unity. The very life of our fellowship requires the preservation of this principle. Alcoholics Anonymous can be likened to a group of physicians who might find a cure for cancer, and upon whose concerted work would depend the answer for sufferers of this disease. True, each physician in such a group might have his own specialty. Every doctor concerned would at times wish that he could devote himself to his chosen field rather than work only with the group. But once these men had hit upon a cure, once it became apparent that only by their united effort could this be accomplished, then all of them would feel bound to devote themselves solely to the relief of cancer. In the radiance of such miraculous discovery, any doctor would set his other ambitions aside at whatever personal cost. Pass.
Thank you, Bev. Marianne, New Jersey. Oops. There we go.
Marianne, alcoholic. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Marianne.
Just as firmly bound by obligation are the members of Alcoholics Anonymous, who have demonstrated that they can help problem drinkers as others seldom can. The unique ability of each AA to identify himself with and bring recovery to the newcomer is no way depends upon his learning, eloquence, or on any special individual skills. The only thing that matters is that he as an alcoholic was found a key to sobriety. These legacies of suffering and of recovery are easily passed among alcoholics, one to another. This is our gift from God, and it is bestowed upon others like us. Its bestowal upon others like us is the one aim that today animates AAs all around the globe. There is another reason for this singleness of purpose. It is the great paradox of AA that we know we can seldom keep the precious gift of sobriety unless we give it away. If a group of doctors possessed a cancer cure, they might be conscience-stricken if they failed their mission through self-seeking. Yet such a failure wouldn't jeopardize their personal survival. For us, if we neglect those who are still sick, there is unremitting danger to our own lives and sanity. Under these compulsions of self-preservation, duty, and love, it is not strange that our society has concluded that it has but one high mission: to carry the AA message to those who don't know there's a way out. Pass.
Thank you, Marianne. Kelly D?
Hi everybody, my name is Kelly. I'm an alcoholic. Highlighting the wisdom of AA's single purpose, a member tells the story. Restless one day, I felt I'd better do some 12-step work. Maybe I should take out some insurance against a slip, but first I'd have to find a drunk to work on. So I hopped the subway to Towns Hospital, where I asked Dr. Silkworth if he had a prospect. Nothing too promising, the little doc said. There's just one chap on the third floor who might be a possibility, but he's an awfully tough Irishman. I never saw a man so obstinate. He shouts that if his partner would treat him better and his wife would leave him alone, he'd soon solve his alcohol problem. He's had a bad case of DTs, he's pretty foggy, and he's very suspicious of everybody. Doesn't sound too good, does it? But working with him may do something for you, so why don't you have a go at it? I was soon sitting beside a big hulk of a man, decidedly unfriendly. He stared at me out of eyes, which were slits in his red and swollen face. I had to agree with the doctor. He certainly didn't look good. But I told him my own story. I explained what a wonderful fellowship we had, how well we understood each other. I bore down hard on the hopelessness of the drunk's dilemma. I insisted that few drunks could ever get well on their own steam, but that in our groups we could do together what we could not do separately. He interrupted to scoff at this and asserted he'd fix his wife, his partner, and his alcoholism by himself. Sarcastically, he asked, "How much does your scheme cost?" Pass.
Thank you, Kelly D. Carrie?
Hi, Carrie Alcoholic. I was thankful I could tell him nothing at all. His next question was, are you getting out of it? Of course, my answer was my own sobriety and a mighty, happy life. Still doubted, 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 sti dubious, he demanded, "Do you really mean the only reason you are here is to try and help me and to help yourself?" "Yes," I said, that's absolutely all there is to it. There's no angel." Then hesitantly, I ventured to talk about the spiritual side of the program. What a free that drunken notion, and he pronounced, "Oh," he said, "now I get it. You're prostituting for some damn religious sect or other. Where do you get that? No angel stuff. I belong to a great church that means everything to me. You've got a nerve to come in here talking about religion."
Thank you, Carrie. Marianne?
Thank heaven I came up with the right answer for that one. I was based foursquare on a single purpose of AA. "You have faith," I said, "perhaps far deeper faith than mine. No doubt you'd better taught in religious matters than I. So I can't tell you anything about religion. I don't even want to try. I'll bet too that you could give me a letter perfect definition of humility. But from what you have told me about yourself and your problems and how you propose to lick them, I think you know what's wrong." "Okay," he said, "give me the business." "Well," I said, "I think you're just as a conceited Irishman who thinks he can run the whole show." This really rocketed him, but as he calmed down, he began to listen while I tried to show him that humility was the main key to sobriety. Finally, he saw that I wasn't attempting to change his religious ways, that I wanted him to find the grace in his own religion that would aid his recovery. From there on, we went along fine. Now, concludes the old-timer, suppose I had been obligated to talk to this man on religious grounds. Suppose my answer had to be that AA needed a lot of money, that AA went in for education, hospitals, and rehabilitation. Suppose I suggested that I'd take a hand in his domestic and business affairs. Where would he have wound up? No place, of course. Years later, this tough Irish customer liked to say, my sponsor sold me one idea, and that was sobriety. At that time, I couldn't have bought anything else.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Much appreciated. Okay, so the questions that come from the AA Grapevine, and then we can discuss them, please and thank you. So question number 1. Do I ever cop out by saying, I'm not a group, so this or that tradition doesn't apply to me? Question 2. Am I willing to explain firmly to a newcomer the limitations of AA help, even if he gets mad at me for not giving him a loan? 3. Have I today imposed on any AA member for a special favor or consideration simply because I am a fellow alcoholic? Question 4. Am I willing to 12-step the next newcomer without regard to who or what is in it for me? Question 5. Do I help my group in every way I can to fulfill our primary purpose? Question 6. Do I remember that AA old-timers, too, can be alcoholics who still suffer? Do I try both to help them and to learn from them? Well, Those are pretty good questions, I think. I'd love to hear what you ladies would like to say about these. Tradition number 5. Go ahead. Is it Annette? You just gotta unmute. There you go. There you go.
My name is Annette. I'm an alcoholic. And yeah, that's a good step. I like tradition 5. It speaks to me because I know I can help the newcomer, but he has to be willing he or she has to be willing as well. And yeah, I have a sponsor right now, so I'm working on myself. Yeah, every little bit helps. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Annette. Marianne, New Jersey.
Hi, I'm Marianne, alcoholic. I had a laugh at one of those. It said, if I impose on an AA member simply because I'm a fellow alcoholic, I was trying to sponsor someone a while ago, and she actually had asked me to sponsor her, and I had just retired, and I thought that was a great idea, to pick up a new sponsee when I had more time, only to find out that she had a lot of needs for running around to stores and she didn't have, a car, and she was not well, and she had asked me for a lot of rides to things, and it turned out she had picked me because she figured I had enough time to do all these things for her. And when she told me that, and when I was otherwise occupied with other things and couldn't jump and run, when she called, she fired me. So she found somebody else who would do all that with her, and they had a great time together, and they had a special bond, and the other woman did a good job kind of setting limits with her, which probably I wasn't doing right. So anyway, it worked out for them and not for me so much. But anyway, yeah, I have a lot of friends who were now old timers, and in the beginning I used to think the older members really had no needs. They were just hanging around to help out the others, based on their experience, strength, and hope. But the truth is, we all have times in which we need help, and we all have times in which we need support. And we need to keep that habit of calling each other up and talking, and not to let that go. Because when you let it go, then the phone gets heavier and it gets harder to do. And then we miss the opportunity to have a better, more comfortable life if we're never picking up the phone. Yeah. So it can't be a one-way street, that communication. It really needs to go both ways. So anyway, I thank you, Della, for taking on the tradition today. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Yeah, I have to be honest, I was a little nervous this morning, but I'm glad you ladies are chiming in. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yvette, please, would you like to share?
Thank you, Della. Good that everyone's on here today. Appreciate everybody. And yeah, tradition 5, we're moving right along, one step at a time, one tradition at a time. So appreciate everyone, and everyone has something to contribute, to give, whether we've been here a short time or a long time. We all have earned our seats, and so thank you. Yeah, the show goes on. So and I've heard some good things. Yeah, the we part of the program, I didn't realize it was in tradition 5 too, like so many things. And humility, I think, is interwoven in the steps and the traditions. Tradition 3, when I read that, or we talked about it, humility was in there too. So many things. And then the responsibility clause, that's in tradition 5. And secretary meetings throughout the years, learning about the tradition that supports that having a desire to stop drinking, that you're allowed to be at the meetings. Tradition 3 and 5 are supportive of that. So I'm always learning, growing, like I've shared, unlearning, then forgetting, then relearning. So thank God for AA and that it's a weed program, and we don't do things perfectly, life happens, so I'm just grateful to everyone that keeps things going. We all have service commitments and we're called in different directions, but even those little things, by sharing, reading, 2 or more gathered, on the same purpose, and it's a meeting. And then thinking about sponsees with this tradition too. Like I share, I learned most things the hard way, not everything. Thank God for experience, strength, and hope of others, and some humility and teachability. But I gave a sponsee $40, and then she went out. I mean, it's not because of me she went out. I mean, she was an addict, alcoholic, but I don't know. It's just something you have to kind of pray about, talk to your own sponsor, and everyone's different. I'm not saying that was the wrong thing to do. It's just my motive might not have been, I wanted to save her, I'll be honest. So, but, God's in charge, and I can't make anyone get drunk, and I can't save anybody, but I can plant seeds. And now what I do for me, again, is, I fill up people's gas tanks, like newcomers, girls, ladies that I have, if I have the money, and take them to get some groceries for the day or the week. Or, people bought me lunch when they said go to the meeting. After the meeting, I was like, I don't have any money. I had a get well job and lived in sober living, and they paid for my lunch, and we just pass it on. And with my sponsor, when she first took me through the 12 steps, I said thank you so much, because it put me in the hand of our higher power, of God. And I said thank you, sobbing, because it's the best thing that ever happened. And she said, well, don't thank me. You grab the hand of the next sick and suffering alcoholic, and you just say, welcome home. It's emotional. Welcome home. And you never have to drink again if you want to or you don't. And come November, I keep doing what I'm doing. I'll have 20 years sober in recovery. And I love 164 and the ladies byline. It's really enhanced my recovery. And I love you guys. It's like we're all over the world, but we're in, like, I feel you right here. So thanks, Della, for stepping up. Love Kim, too. Life happens. Love you guys.
Thank you so much, Yvette. I appreciate it. Carrie. Just gotta unmute yourself. Might have to turn your video off because your internet.
Carrie alcoholic. Okay.
There we go.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. No wonder I can't hear you. You're cutting off on me. Okay. Well, I don't know anything about a sponsor's view on this, but I do know, where it says each group has but one primary purpose to carry its message to the alcohol who still suffers. And I'm in, as your support group. I know how important it is to having home group, which I'm homeless right now, so I'm definitely looking for a home group. And, to have these women in my life and me, and that to be able to carry the message and that. And I just really appreciate these Zoom meetings. I'm having a really hard time with them because the meetings I did go to were real strict and that, and I have to I guess change and adapt and accept the way things are now. And I'm just I guess today I have to take it one day at a. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Yes, sometimes our video uses too much bandwidth, so if you're having trouble with that, just shut your video off and it'll somewhat help it out a little bit. Karen. Just gotta hit you on mute. There you go.
Hi. Do I need to keep this short?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Della, for stepping in for Kim. I appreciate that. And thank you, ladies, for showing up. You guys are so wonderful to all of us, but it's really wonderful to hear what everybody has to say. I'm not much of a enthusiast for the traditions. I never have been, but I just counted my days, and it's like 8,600 something, and I think I should start learning their traditions. So if anyone hasn't learned their traditions, some of us don't. We stay sober, so there you go. Any rate, each group has but one primary purpose: to carry the message to the alcoholic who still suffers. I am wandering around from Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting, trying to find a group that follows this. My primary group has not carried the message to the new alcoholic or somebody who is having trouble drinking, and that worries me and that bothers me. So, and I've served for many years, at least 10 to 12 years as a GSR, and in my area, and I'm glad to see that newcomers can come into these Zoom meetings, and I'm really glad that we're able to carry the primary purpose. My issue is the humility that's required for a group, and I'm not quite sure how to take that back to my group, and I'm learning to work with that as I step back into my group and relearn how they're doing things. At any rate, anything that anyone has to say would be great. Thank you so much for listening. Pass.
Thank you, Karen. I think, personally, I would just mention Tradition 5. Plain and simple. It's our primary purpose. But some of the other ladies might have something to say on that. Bev, go ahead.
Good afternoon, ladies. I hope everyone's doing well today. So, Della, my questions are a little bit different from yours. What's the date on yours? Mine were revised in 2018. Do you have newer ones?
Huh. Let me see.
They're not that different, but the wording on a couple of the first couple you read.
I don't know if I can find the date on here. I'll get back to you on that, though.
That's okay. I was just wondering.
Okay.
But anyway, Tradition 5. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. And the preamble tells me that our primary purpose is to carry the message to the alcoholic who still suffers. And for me, that means each and every one of us. So we are all individually, well, I'll speak for myself. I am individually responsible for carrying that message. And my home group, I'm a member of the 164 home group as well, but my local home group is Open Doors, and it's an open beginners meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that is definitely our primary purpose. We serve a lot of recovery houses and like the Healing Place. I don't know, some of you may know what those are. But there are a lot of newcomers in those, and we pass out, our where and whens, which are our meeting books. Richmond has over 400 meetings a week when we're normal, not in COVID. And we sign a book for every newcomer that comes in. So the women will sign their names in it and their phone numbers for all the women and the guys for the guys. And if someone picks up a white chip, we also give them one of these baby big books. We just buy them and give them to people who have just picked up a white chip. So my home group does a pretty good job of, with that. And I personally have, and my sponsor's always saying, did you, well, not this sponsor so much, but one that I had in the past, did you also get their phone number? because a brand new person, when I was brand new, I wasn't going to pick that phone up and call somebody who put their name in the book, especially if I didn't know them from Adam. I wasn't very good at the phone, and I'm still not great, but my sponsor reminds me every day that I need to be making my phone calls. So, you know, I try. I do to the best of my ability today. But if we take their numbers, we can give them a call and just say, hey, I met you yesterday at such and such meeting. Are you doing okay? And so I've tried to start doing that. I'm not going back to any local meetings yet, but on Zoom, I try to put my phone number in the chat for any women who are brand new. And I am amazed at the number of new people that have joined 164 and stuck around for, I've been on here since middle of March, like the second week of March before everything completely shut down. And there are people on here that are counting their days, and it's all those days, and I'm so excited to see those people are actually recovering, because I don't know if I could have done it by Zoom in the beginning. People had to tell me what to do from minute to minute almost, you know, in the beginning. But I am grateful to be able to carry the message today. And just one more thing real quick. This morning, the daily reflection was about the joy. Well, for me, it's about the joy in giving it away to another alcoholic. And I don't expect anything at all in return. It puts joy in my heart to be able to do it. And I'm honored when someone asks me to do service. You know, it's a blessing for me, as well as hopefully I can help a newcomer by doing it. So that's all I got. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Bev. Yeah, the reading this morning from the Daily Reflections was something to reflect on, for sure. Funny story. You know, I tell my sweetie, yeah, I was asked to speak in so-and-so, and I was just actually asked yesterday to speak in St. Martin's in October. And he says, well, you know, you should get paid for this stuff. And I said, no, that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to carry the message. And it's just so, he's a normie and he doesn't quite understand everything, but it was so cute. And you should get paid for no, I do this because it helps in my sobriety. And I love being a service to 164 and you ladies. And it helps me grow in my program, and it helps my spirit too. Like it makes me feel so good. So I had to share that little nugget. Margaret.
Thank you, Della. Good morning. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, Della, what you just said really spoke to me, and Bev and everybody that shared. So, I don't know, did I say my name is Margaret and I'm an alcoholic? So that's the first thing I've got to know each and every day. And what I've learned over time is, and what is being said to me, because there's nothing that I say that's original. What I've learned in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. What I've learned is from my sponsors and from people telling their stories. What I know is that, you know, I feel that I'm here to carry the message, not the alcoholic. Have to be really careful sometimes on boundaries. You know, we're not doctors, we're not counselors, we're not medical people. Yeah. I'm here to carry the message. I'm not a taxi service. I will pick up somebody willingly, gladly, take them to a meeting, take them home, spend time with them, have coffee, but it's something that I've learned is to set my boundaries so that I'm not feeling taken advantage of, and also to be able to spread out my time.
Yeah.
A number of years ago, I was, you know, through work, I was working really hard, studying. I had a little girl that my daughter who needed my attention, and a sponsee who phoned me like 4 and 5 times a day. And I realized after a time that I was actually stealing my family's time in order to spend so much time with this person. And I wasn't doing her any favors. And, yeah, for our meetings, I mean, I'm very much a believer in the Big Book and the 12 by 12. And that's where I get my program from. That's how I've been able to stay sober one day at a time. And there's different trends, there's different waves that seem to run through AA from time to time. But what I've got to come back to are the basics. It's right here. I have to be very careful not to set even a person up on a pedestal. You know, one of our members, I guess, just passed, or actually a couple. There's another gal, Aggie, from Vancouver, but in Clancy. You know, these longtime members who have passed. And sometimes it's been my fault, I guess, to put some of these people up on a pedestal and think that they can do no wrong. But what I've learned over time, and everybody has feelings, is that the solutions, the answers to how Alcoholics Anonymous works is in the Big Book and in the 12 by 12. And I try not to fly off on any of these sort of like trends. I also really try to stay humble and know that I don't have the solution for it. It's not about me. It's about carrying the message. And when I stay on that path, everything seems to flow a lot smoother, a lot easier. It's not up to me whether or not somebody else gets sober. We each have our own story, and our own story is different. I don't know if I could have gotten sober during this COVID time either, but you know, hopefully it's working for some people. The way I got sober probably wouldn't have been the route for somebody else. I was very, very young, and I'm very, very grateful. What I know is I stuck really close to the people. We talked about the winners. You know, they used to say stick with the winners, and I did. I stuck with the people who were staying sober. Didn't get involved in relationships, like romantic relationships. Not that I didn't want to. I was super, super lonely that way. But, you know, I feel very, very grateful. It wasn't all happiness and joy at the time. And then as far as the long-term sobriety, there's absolutely times that I am no more sober than the next person, than the person that got up this morning. Many times in my sobriety, there have been challenges, whether work, relationships, whatever, illness, that I need every person in these rooms. I need every person to share their experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. Thank you for my sobriety.
Thank you very much, Margaret. Thank you. Yeah, putting people on a pedestal is not... They can fall off. And then what are you going to do? Suze! Can you hit your unmute? Oh, you're frozen. Oh, there you go.
You're muted, Della.
Oh. That would help, wouldn't it? Suze, go ahead, please, sweet. There we go.
Oh, can you lower my hand? I don't know how to do it.
I will, yeah.
Maybe you could tell me how to do it. Okay. Because I need to know for like a week from now. I'm Suzanne, grateful member of AA, grateful member of 164, and so glad to be here at the ladies line by line. Wow. Tradition 5, like all traditions, I came in here a bit feral. I have social anxiety disorder, GOD. So I spent my childhood in the library reading and doing my homework because I would just get triggered. I didn't know I was triggered now, but these traditions help me. Luckily, people are very gentle with me for the most part. I can be triggered into shame if I don't think I'm doing something right. And that comes from a childhood of trauma where my stepmother was an alcoholic. I had to clean her bathroom 4 times a week, so I have OCD now. I'm working on it. And her bottle of vodka was huge, and we were punished for all her moods. So I became, she was a very charismatic, charming, talented piano player, extremely talented, and if you were singled out as the good girl that day, you were in God's grace. or you felt so, but it was really a sad situation. It was very sadistic. So I'm learning slowly, to the point where I have 897 days of sobriety, no alcohol, and God is removing so many resentments. Bing, bing, bing. And 164 has just sped that up this summer. And I think it's been God's will, because I'm going back into the war zone. These kids are really, really struggling in their addictions. I would receive video assignments, and I would see children drunk. We had a student that I know of who was on CBC.ca. She OD'd, so this is the functional awareness. She got her heroin at our school. And because my family is in the police department, my grandfather was the assistant chief of police in Calgary. I know how to track them down. And sorry if I'm storytelling, but all this stuff tells me I'm very sensitive to what's going on, and I'm picking up on energy. And when people reach out, when I'm in my little shame spiral, and they say, like, people picked up the phone, Joanne, Scott, Joe, Lisa, G, they picked up the phone because they love me, and I didn't love myself. And people texted me, Kim and Kim P, and other people that just like reached out as a verb and said, are you okay? Because I'm the person that won't ask for a sponsor because I'm too afraid. I'm the person that I didn't have problems doing step 4, step 5, because I'm in total self affliction of the arrow that everyone throws out when they're having a bad day. I catch it, and I guess it's an extreme form of narcissism, but it's how I survive. If I catch that arrow and I hold it, that person's in a good mood because I've just alleviated them of their problem. So it's really important for all of us to do our steps, to clean out the clouds, your bitterness, your anger, that comes out in your tone that you share with the newcomer. And it's really important to the newcomer that you're happy, you're settled, you're with God, because you're going to plant those seeds by saying, oh, she's safe. She's a safe person. She doesn't hang up on me and say whatever when I'm saying, actually, I'm in fight flight. So I'm in fight flight. And so thank you for sharing the rules. Thank you for being non-judgmental. I'm getting better. I have not yet taken a cake. So 2-point-some years. The first cake I threw up 2 weeks, like vomited. Like, it's a real, everyone thinks that it's all hyperbole and I'm faking it, and I got fake doctor's notes and I got fake this. I'm sorry, but I'm speaking for the people that aren't faking it. This is a real disorder, and I used alcohol to medicate. And once I stopped, I was the fire victim with my nerves on the outside of my body. And some of you came with the softest gloves, and you said, hey, we'll take care of you. We'll teach you how it works. We'll show you the rules. We'll teach you the traditions together. And the women, oh my God, you guys, thank you. You are my heart, and you have helped me with so much healing. So I take those gifts. I take that learning, that teachability, that humility, and I take it, and I get to teach it this year. So, mwah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Suze. We love you too. Gloriana should be able to hit you on mute. There you go.
Okay, yeah. How's that?
Good.
Hello, yeah. I'm Gloriana. I'm a recovered alcoholic and addict, and I'm grateful. Recovered but not cured. A humble student, and thank you for this beautiful reading. And the 5th tradition, well, yes, it's our job to carry the message to the alcoholic, but not to carry the drunk. And we could look at a prospect, and like just as they looked, we say prospect because I'm from New York, but prospect. We can look at our prospect, okay? And just as he did with the ornery Irishman. And I mean, I've met a lot of ornery Irishmen and ornery Irish women and ornery you name it in the rooms. I was married to an ornery Irishman, my previous marriage. And yeah, some people there's no telling anything to, and then sometimes something you say could allow life to go on. Other times, not so, oh yeah, there's the pickle, how cute. Other times, not quite that good. Can you send me that pickle? Send it to my cell phone so I can download it. That's lovely.
Sure.
Right. It's so adorable. But the thing, yes, once we're a pickle, we can never be a cucumber again, and I'm a pickle. We all are pickles, and that's why we're here. And guess what? P.S. incidentally, welcome newcomers, or if you feel new, as Vita says, you know, the reason why we're all in here is because we're not all there. And you're going to find, if you spend some time in here, there's going to be a lot of issues, personalities, this one or that one, but it's always principles before personalities. But this is a fabulous tradition, and traditions are loaded, and they're very rich with a lot of pearls and wisdom. I used to look at them too at one time like, ugh, who wants to talk about traditions? Ugh. And I was going to a meeting, and one time someone said to me, and she was a very wise, mature, older lady. She said, we were on a different tradition altogether, and she said at one time she lived her life based upon promotion, not attraction. And I was like, wow, you can apply these things to actual life issues. And it's so true. We practice the principles in all our affairs. And the old-timer says, suppose I'd been obliged to talk to this man on religious grounds. Suppose my answer had to be that AA needed a lot of money, that AA went in for education, hospitals, and rehabilitation. Suppose I suggest that I take a hand in his domestic and business affairs. Where would we have wound up? No place, of course. And that's true. We don't take those issues. You can help somebody. Listen, I used to get a lot of rides when I first moved from New York to New Jersey. I was broke. People picked me up and brought me to meetings, and it saved my life. Also, I've tried to reach out to other people to help them, recommend them to doctors, recommend them to maybe, like, they'll ask about a therapist. You know, a therapist that would be understanding about my recovery, whatever. So to best of my knowledge, I would do that or bring them somewhere. But we can't carry the alcoholic, and we can't get too absorbed in their soap opera if they're not interested in being sober. And once you get an indication, if you're working with a prospect and they're just non-compliant and they're full of excuses, you have to get them on track and reorient them. But if they start playing their game, you got to watch that too. You've got to be firm. And I've had a lot of, very firm sponsors. I have a firm sponsor now, and she's not big on hyperbole. It's like, are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing this? Oh, you feel this way? Well, this is what's going on. This is what you got to do. And it's good because it helps keep me focused. I can go off on tangents myself. So anyway, that's about it. I just love you all. And I also put in the chat, and please tell me if it bothers anyone. I won't send anything, but there is a meeting that's a 12 and 12. That's a local one. It's a small, intimate meeting. It's not an outrageously big meeting. And people might get something out of it if they want to read through step and tradition. They do that also there. And it goes in a different format than our line by line. To me, the line by line is more valuable. However, every now and then you hear something and you learn or you relearn something. So it's good, especially if somebody really is into doing their traditions and steps. Thank you. I love you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Gloriana. We love you too. Okay, Kelly D. Go ahead.
Hi everybody, I'm Kelly. I'm an alcoholic. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Thank you, Della, for service. I do love getting to this meeting. With little ones running around, it's hard for me to get to designated meetings and have a plan. Because when I plan, God laughs at me all the time. So I've been sober 11 years. May 3rd of 09 is my sobriety date. In the 11 years I've been sober, I've had so many different experiences with sponsorship, with sponsoring, with fellowship, with groups. I moved, I live in New York. I lived in Lower Westchester, which was Dobbs Ferry, and I moved upstate, and I had to get a new group. And, people do things very differently. And the last question was about, money out of the basket for parties and stuff, and for people that pass. And we used to always have a separate money basket for that kind of stuff, because I did love spending my holidays with AA, especially in the beginning. I did not like to eat with my alcoholic family, celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever holiday it was. So we always had something for, alcothons and things like that. So that was really great, and I love that. Now I'm a part of the Armonk group in Westchester County in New York, and they also do a great job with that. And it's really great, the fellowship. I mean, I miss going to the diner with the girls and going out to dinner. Like, I really do miss that part of fellowship. It is kind of isolating here. But for me, sponsorship is really important. It keeps me plugged in. I need to sponsor people, and I love carrying the message, not the mess. And I've had some sponsees that have, like, nodded out on my lap in the middle of an open speaker meeting. I drove them home, the mother's cursing me out. I've had somebody that wanted me to sponsor them in OA, but I'm not in OA, I'm in AA. Even though I'm an exercise fitness guru, I cannot help you with your nutrition. I am not a doctor, that kind of stuff. Like, the boundaries was mentioned. So anyway, this is a great group. I love you ladies. I wish I could be here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2. And thank you, Della, for filling in for Kim. And all you beautiful ladies, have a wonderful Monday.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much. I'm glad you were able to join us today. Joanne. Woo. Try it again, sweet. There we go.
Okay. All right. I'm Joanne. I'm an alcoholic addict and grateful to be here. This tradition, this is where I had to roll up my sleeves because, I came in and, the group was like, we're all coming together to stay sober, and we invite a loving higher power to join us. And we, the only requirement for membership is to stop drinking. And each group, you're going to find lots of different groups with, a little bit of difference here and a little difference there. But the step 5 is where I really had to go from my individual recovery, my interpretation of the big book, my interpretation of how AA is, and become part of a group. And that's not easy. And to be able to have the courage to ask the question of a group, what is our primary purpose, and how is this looking, and how are we presenting it, and what are we doing? All those plural words. And that can be challenging because it sets up. It's kind of like the third step kind of sets up for the fourth step, the inventory. Well, the fifth step sets up the inventory of how the group is working in a lot of ways. And they ask a lot of questions. How are you carrying the message? So when I talk to sponsees, I try to ask my higher power to remind me to use the word we. This is what we do, we are not counselors. We are not marriage counselors. We are not another 12-step group, but when I say we, I also sometimes have to check into who the hell are we? And we starts at my group, and to be able to ask those questions. What do we do? And I have this one meeting, I get nervous, but every once in a while I say, who are we? Who's the group? We don't have, there's no business meetings. There's a lot of not happening. There's a couple of people taking care of it. And even in the meeting, I think I'm leaving this group, by the way. Even in the meeting, what they share is how everybody's doing. This is my week. This is how I was doing. This is the issues that I have. It's a camaraderie. It's a fellowship. And that's so important. And if you're a newcomer, what you're getting to hear is, how's everybody doing? Where's the message? You know, the meetings that I thrive in is everyone kind of checks in on their personal recovery, but there's also a group. You can feel the group. And afterwards, a lot of them are like, oh, we're all going out for coffee. And you feel that group. So it's more whole. The message is, we're here because we couldn't stop drinking. Together, we're going to unite. And based on the big book, and based on the 12 and 12, and based on fellowship, and based on this, we have learned to stay sober. That's the message that I try to carry to my sponsees. This is how we are staying sober. Am I perfect? No, I'm not perfect. You know, I get someone crying and they have an issue and everything, and I try to listen, and I try to keep my humility in check, because I'm not a marriage counselor, I'm not this, I'm not this. But if I keep asking for help, I say, we, in this particular group, we have seen this before, and this is how we offer suggestions. And sometimes when we as a group don't know, guess what? There's general service. You know, there was a young people's conference where we didn't know how to deal with something, and nobody had the tradition answer. We called general service, and we got some idea, we figured it out, and then we made a decision, you know. So I sponsor and I carry the message sometimes back to the group. And there was a situation where there was an alcothon, and there was a treatment facility, and the group wanted to send money around so we could pay for tickets so those people could go to a roundup. And everyone was gung-ho, and I raised my hand, and I hate being the person that raised the hand. And I said, does this fall into the traditions? And we had a discussion, and the group made a decision. The group made a decision based on the traditions and where the voice of that group laid. And but you know what? That meeting they just celebrated 53 years. They've been able to continue carrying the message, help other alcoholics, and sometimes it's a day at a time, a group meeting at a time. But for those that are new, you know, or those that have been around and you're feeling disconnected, start going to your group and become a part of. And that's what I wanted to share. And thank you. And a cute dog. And my cat's still missing, but I keep trying to turn it over.
Aww.
And everything.
Thank you, Joanne. This is Angus. He joined us this morning. The other one was Bruno. Wow, ladies, thank you so much. I learned a lot. I hope you all did too. And Wednesday, we're hoping to have Kim back. If not, I will be here for sure to fill in for her. And we will be on Tradition 6. Yay!